If you're talking to women like Diego's, you're doing it wrong. Right now, I want to give you the most excellent advice someone has ever given me. And mind you, this guy wasn't a fool. He was of average height, but he had an outstanding career in investment banking. Always had his suits pressed. I'd see him with a new girl on his arm every week. The guy seemed to do it all effortlessly. A true red-pilled man. So I became acquainted with him. Let's not go into the details. I asked him how he was so smooth with the ladies. Here's what he told me. Don't talk to women like men. Talk to them like they are women. If you're smart, this one line is enough to change your entire outlook on talking and gaming women. But let me explain. Talking to women is not the same as a man. When you talk to a man, the conversation is very straightforward. Unless one of the participants has a stake in the conversation or one outranks the other in terms of status. There will be some power talk and the use of metaphors. But most of the time there won't be a lot going on. The conversation is very bland and very honest. It's structured in a way that you can ask a question and expect a simple answer. The rules are straightforward. You don't need to drop any insults or teasing remarks or sarcasm. It's considered rude. If a topic is not up for conversation, the guy will clearly say that, and it won't be discussed anymore. If there is a disagreement, either both guys will continue to argue on it or respectfully disagree. Usually, rational males talk to bond and get to know each other better and use the other guy's experience to learn a thing or two. Women are not like that. Women don't talk to you to bond or get themselves informed. If you're approaching a woman with romantic intent, the stakes are different. The talk is more of a competition, and she's testing you with every word, everything you say. Every time you say something, she's forming an opinion. You're probably standing there blabbering like a fool, and she's out there overthinking everything you're saying and forming conclusions. You don't want to talk to her the same way. Here you want to initiate the concept of push and pull, or what I call tiny conflicts. It's a war of words. It's a game of tests, and you need to dominate it. You need to be winning it by not falling over her like other men. She is going to throw insults out. Men don't do that. She will. When you are talking about something, she will suddenly mock you or drop a sarcastic remark. She likes to see the reaction. Either you can buckle down like a loser, or you can hit her back with another thought remark. That takes practice. That's called banter, and it's slowly developed with time. You need to push to get details out of her. You will push her to learn about her hobbies and her tastes and maybe her personal details. If you're very good, you can do it subtly, and she won't ever notice. She'll start talking about them herself. But if you're not very good at it, you'll push her and get a reply. But it's not like interviewing a man who is willing to talk and disclose all details. Every time you push her, you're exhausting your energy. If you keep pushing, you'll be holding the conversation and she will be less than impressed. You will appear desperate and whiny after pushing you to need to pull back or initiate a mini conflict. Maybe nag her. Say something negative about her to tease her. Maybe say something about her appearance, acting like you just noticed that. It's going to throw her off. If you're very good, you'll already know what she's insecure about because she will keep looking at that or fixing that. It's going to throw her off. If you have a sense of humor, you can tease her in a fun manner. She will try her best to come back, but women's insults are rude and brash. You can just ignore that or return those insults with wit. The important thing here is staying unbothered. And you can only do that if you feel that way. If you feel that you have a variety of options when it comes to women, you'll always feel bothered, and it will reflect that. Remember that the one with the stake in any conversation is always the weakest one. This rule is applicable everywhere in high-rise corporate meetings to vamoosing women in the bar. You need to make sure you're not the weakest one, and that you appear abundant and even out of reach. Women like that. They want variety, and they desire something unique like that. If you don't believe me, look at it like this. Every man out there is coming up to her talking like a fool, using the same old lines and doing a boring conversation as if they were co-workers. You're the only one who has ever come up to her and actually looked bored. She is just dying to know what's different with you. You push her for a minute and then break it off. It's different. It's dominating. She's suddenly the weaker one because you seem totally unbothered by her looks. This is called game in a nutshell. An understanding of the stakes and the conflicts contained within a conversation. Reading the person at every second and hitting them back with the right response to make them feel weaker. There are, of course, a couple of prerequisites for that. You need a great amount of confidence. That's why you'll only see people having a good game those with a good fashion sense, good hygiene, and impeccable confidence and posture. To actually read someone, you basically need to have alpha energy about you. You need to know you're the boss. So when you go up to her and talk to her, you're making good eye contact and aren't obsessing over yourself. You aren't thinking about everything and second-guessing yourself. You're cool, calm, and collected. That way you can focus on one thing and don't have to feel nervous all the time. 2, you actually need to have some options. Because let's face it, unless you don't have options or prior experience with women, it will be very hard to fake things. You will appear desperate, and you won't be able to help it. To have a good game, you need to make sure you aren't getting out of the house thirsty for women. That's the wrong outlook on life. You have to be an abundant man, meaning having your own set of troubles and responsibilities keeping you busy. That way, you won't be lying to her when you say she isn't your number one priority. If that's not the case, you will be talking to her all day long like the rest of the males. So you need to get some responsibilities. Get something to do today. Get a routine that you do consistently. I remember back in high school, I wasn't very intelligent, but I did have this girl crushing over me. I didn't know because I wasn't even working out back then. In fact, I was so naive, I had never even expected it to happen. The weird thing was, the more I rejected her, the more she seemed to chase me. Back then, I was a nerd, so I had a very strict routine. I went to bed early and didn't waste time on social media and focus on my studies. Every night, we would have the same fight. She would want to talk, and at 10 p.m., I'd tell her I'm going off to sleep. She hated that. She would tell me to go to hell, and she hated me. That I'm so arrogant and a heartless bastard. I sort of felt bad then, but I wanted to sleep and I was genuinely tired by then. Every day, I would wake up and by afternoon, she would have messaged me again. Every day the same routine. Every time she would say she hated me, and I was the worst, and she would keep messaging me again. She knew what the truth was. She knew I was focused and had a routine, and I wasn't going to break it for anyone. Especially not for her. That excited her. Of course, there were other guys talking to her all day long, but she wasn't interested in them. She was interested in me. Every time I thought, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing by rejecting her like this every time. Because I was still thinking like a man. It's true if you set up a talk with a guy and you told him, "Oh, I'm too sleepy to talk today." That's a surefire way of never talking to that guy again. Women aren't like that. They pride themselves on the fact that you can break out of your routine to make time for her. In her eyes, that's a win. And if she can't do that, that's an indication of a strong frame to her. That's an indication of abundance. That intimidates her, and she becomes a weaker one in the conversation. That's what we are trying to do. So talk to women like women, not like men. That's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care.